So while they're going around with all of these ships, attack ships, and the protection we had, warships, and then they call us, if you ever see the movie Guadalcanal Valley, and I encourage you to see it, it's so, the man that wrote that, I met him, one of the islands, was a great man, a great writer, who has since passed away, Richard Travaskis. And you go to the computer and get a story of him. And he did all of the writing for the Guadalcanal campaign and others after that. And anyway, we got the word, we were briefed what this island is like. He said it's island, and when you make the landing, and they describe where we're going to make the landing, and there's a lot of it, and he describes especially the grass. He said it's Kool-Aid grass, most is 6 foot high. And he says it makes ample protection for any of the enemy that could be behind that and just waiting for you to come in. But our initial bombardment was fantastic. It was unbelievable. The ships, in fact, we were ready to go over the side of our ship, but prior to that, the warships opened up. I had never seen anything like it. You can see it on TV, and you say, oh, it's a lot of bombardment. But this was right in front of me. To see this gigantic warship open up that flew a projectile that was 14 to 16 inches big around, no, in diameter, across, and this big, weighed well over 1,000 pounds, and that thing is flying in right on target, right on the beach. And it wiped out whatever tanks they had, a lot of their equipment. They had equipment to build the airfield. And the troops, there were troops and they had workers too. And it was such a surprise attack. Thanks to our weatherman that predicted the weather when we went in. It was very overcast, and that protected us from the enemy. And they just took off to the hills. Some of the food was still cooking. It was hot food, it was still hot. And with some bombardment that wiped out just about everything. And the troops that were there took off to the hills. Left a lot of their equipment, a lot of their small arms, rifles, everything. Took off to the hills, and we made the landing. I went in with the third wave. First wave, that's your riflemen and all, they flew in, and your scouts. And they made the landing, and it was on a pole. They were all taken off to the hills. So they go in, and they go further inland, and then the second wave comes in. Maybe about another 100 men or so. They come in off the small boats, the pack boats. Then we come in, the third, and we were just our troops. In the back of us, they brought in our weapons, which we couldn't carry in. They came in, and of course, when the time was right, we can unload those small boats and take weapons and use them and call it on. First day, we made the landing. No interference. It caught them completely by surprise. But then the same day, with our ships out there trying to unload, we on the beach with some of the gear, all of a sudden the enemy came in on these dive bombers. They said, take cover, just take cover. And I remember running maybe from here to the car park, and I saw a big bomb crater, and I jumped in it for protection. And these things came in low-flying bombers. They called them Betty bombers, 2 engines. Having powerful bombs, and they come in, they were going for the ships. They figured, take the ships, the enemy, us, have no supplies. That would be powerless. They come in, low flying, and our gunners, they were kind of half-struck. They couldn't fire because we'd be firing on each other. The ships were so close together. But anyway, they did manage to bring down one or two. They sank them, The ships, they hit one of ours, created a fire, killed some of the men, and that ship burned for a few days, and then, of course, we had to sink the ship itself. And that's still there, by the way, wherever if you ever went to Guadalcanal, it's very deep in the state. And anyway, that airstrike, and then we got word, hey, they're coming back. And they came back, we got all of our troops off, and they came back, I'd say the second night, with their big warship, and we had our big warship. And then he had some of the greatest naval battles right off the island. The Ravel, biggest in world history. And the first big naval battle, I could witness it. I couldn't see who was who. I could see out to sea. It was a stormy, rainy night. And you see the flashes. Maybe they were out 2 miles from the beach. You see the flashes, and then all of a sudden you see a big And then that went back and forth for a couple of hours. And then it was thunder and lightning, and times she'd say, was that lightning? Or was that the booming of the thunder? But anyway, it was the battle, one of the biggest of all time. So before daytime came up, they took off to go back 1,500 miles wherever they came from. They didn't want to be there in the daylight where our bombers would come in and dive bomb and get down and sink them. They took off. The next day, we found out, we thought it was a victory for us, it wasn't. We lost 4 of our big ships. They were battleships, they were cruisers, the next size, thousands of tons, and terrific armament on it, 14-inch cannon. I say that for your information. 14-inch guns, 14-inch with those projectiles. And they fired away, and they hit a couple of them, but they didn't sink them. But the enemy sank 4 of our ships. These are the 4 cruisers. I never forgot the name. The Quincy, they named cruisers after the state. Quincy, not necessarily state, city, so Vincennes, the Adams, and the Australian cruiser Canberra. That's named after a kid in Australia, Canberra. Sank them to the bottom of the state. And they weren't aware of that. But once they found out, they came back. It seemed every day they had free range, because we didn't have enough equipment at the time to come down what they call a slot between the small island down to Guadalcanal, come in, drop off troops, maybe about 5, 6, 7 miles from us. And all we could do is try to bomb the planes when we didn't have enough for the air. We didn't have the airfield finished yet. To bomb them and intercept them, but no, they still got through until they built up their troops on the island. And then they came, I guess in their way, say we're going to even it up. And they have big guns to fire back, and our guns firing at them. The first shell that came in from them, a big shell, we fired at will, as they speak. We could just fire away and be out there by the gun. Don't worry, they're not firing back. And if they fire back, they might fire off the airfield a mile away. But this one day, we're firing, and then we cease fire, and we're standing there talking, and then we hear a boom from the distance on their side, which is only 2 miles away. I hear the boom. And then usually, if it's one of their shells, probably like an 8-inch one, it would fly over up to the airport. So jokingly, we were kind of smart guys. We'd wave, goodbye. But this one day, it had a different sound as it's coming in. And we said, wait, this is coming in on us. And we just hit the deck, so to speak, hit the ground. And we hit, my gun crew, we hit the ground, and this one landed very, very